You can. So in spite of that, he is giving a little hope also to us, to poor souls, to little souls. Yet can the mind of man receive God's light? The force of man can be driven by God's force. Then is he a miracle doing miracles. That is when you really open yourself out fully to God's light and God's force. God's light and God's force. When you really open out. In other words, you really become the instrument of God. You become Vibhuti to do God's work. You become Vibhuti to do God's work. Yet can the mind of man receive God's light? The force of man can be driven by God's force. Then is a miracle doing miracles. In fact, there is no miracle there. Whatever happens kind of happens naturally in that consciousness. For only so can he be nature's king. And then he hammers out again, it is decreed and Satyavan must die. It is a necessity, as I said. It is decreed. Nobody can change that decree. This is the Ananki. She is deciding, she has decided he must die. It is the decree. And Satyavan must die. The hour is fixed, chosen, the fatal stroke. So all these are now cosmic operations which will go through. How he will die, etc., etc. Well, that is the cosmic part. That is the part of the fate. In other words, this is an aspect of fate's working in the cosmic operations. This is an aspect of necessity or Ananki working in the transcendent. She has decided something, it must happen. How it is going to happen here, that will be decided by fate. That will be decided by fate. Actually, if we call this thing as necessity, then necessity is a mother of fate. It is decided. How it is going to happen? Fate. She is the one who is giving rise to all these things. It has to happen. Nobody can change this one. It is decreed. How it is going to be worked out is a question of details of cosmic working. And that is what we would call fate. So fate is subject to necessity. What else shall be is written in her soul. It has to happen, that's all right. What else shall be is written in her soul. Obviously, Narada also will not be able to know what else is written. He himself doesn't have that knowledge. He cannot read the soul of Savitri. He has no access to read what is written in her soul. And therefore he is safe. I don't know, I'm sorry, I can't tell you what is going to happen, this way or that way, etc. But this much is certain, that Satyavan has to die. And this much I can tell you, see. How it is going to happen, what are the possibilities will open out, that I can't tell you. In other words, as far as Narada is concerned, he is definite up to 10th book. He cannot say anything about the 11th book. What else is going to happen in the book of everlasting day? He says, I am sorry, I can't tell you that. That is between Savitri's soul and the Supreme. 11th book is for that, her soul. But till the hour reveals the fateful script, the writing waits illegible and mute. It is decreed that this shall happen, and the writing remains illegible and mute, obviously. Now, he says, till the hour revealed the fateful script, the writing waits illegible. Is the writing illegible to Narad? Certainly not. He has seen it, he has known it. It is illegible to the human soul, to we people. Savitri herself would not know at this point. And then, this is one of the most beautiful definitions of fate given by Narad. Fate is truth working out in ignorance. That is the definition of fate according to Narad. Fate is truth working out in ignorance. In the cosmic play. Cosmic play is the play of ignorance. We are living in the over-mind creation and lower, in the world of ignorance. And the operations which go on in the cosmos, they are working out in ignorance. And the agency who does it, it is fate as truth. Truth as fate, rather. So, if you extend the definition, fate is the truth working out in ignorance, then we can also say that necessity is truth working out in knowledge. We can extend the definition. What is necessity? Fate is the daughter of necessity. If she is working out in ignorance, then how is the mother working out? She is working out in knowledge. So necessity is truth working out in knowledge. We can put that definition as an extension of this definition. Fate is truth working out in ignorance, in the cosmic process. In other words, in the transcendent, the truth dynamism which operates, it operates in full knowledge of things. In full knowledge of things. The other word for that dynamism in the transcendent is the Vedic word ritam. Ritam. So, necessity we can link up with ritam as a dynamic aspect of truth working out things in knowledge. That is ritam. And as a result of that ritam, we have fate. Fate, here we call it in Sanskrit niyati, the working of cosmic forces, niyati. O king, thy fate is a transaction done. It is done, finished. At every hour between nature and thy soul with God or its forcing arbiter. Now, of course, this applies to highly evolved individuals like Ashwapati. Thy fate is a transaction done at every hour between nature and thy soul, because his soul is alert and he has taken a mortal birth, he has taken a human birth. Therefore, it is a transaction between nature and soul. The dealing relation with God, for its the balance, if it all to be tilted between soul and nature, will be decided by God. Fate is a balance drawn in destiny's book. Man can accept his fate, he can refuse. That is choice given to us, but that is choice given to whom? To somebody like this. To somebody like this, whose soul is alert, who knows the working of nature. It is for him. See, we are walking and we have stepped on an ant. Now, poor ant has no will at all, cannot exercise anything at all. Well, it accepts whatever happens. It's a law of nature, not fate. There's no fate involved there. There's no fate involved there, you see. So, only when the soul is alert, then the fate comes difficult. All these things which happen on the roads, accidents take place, this happens, that happens, this it keeps on happening. It's a part of nature, you see. It's not part of fate. Fate happens when your soul has come out fully, is conscious of things. Then fate comes. Then it becomes the law, arbiter, you see, not until then. You can't say that the fruit has ripened and therefore it has fallen. You can't say that it is the fate of the fruit to have fallen. It is a law, you see. Fate is a balance drawn in destiny's book. Man can accept his fate. Now this man of course means a highly evolved man, you see, obviously. In other words, here Savitri has a choice. She can accept what is fated. Satyavan has to die. She can accept, she can reject it also. She can reject it also, you see. What will happen, that's a different matter. But she has a choice here. And then, even if one maintains the unseen decree, he writes thy refusal in thy credit page. So, if Savitri says no, well, even that will be written down in her credit page. For doom is not a close, a mystic seal. Arisen from the tragic crash of life, arisen from the body's torture and death, arisen from the tragic crash of life, arisen from the body's torture and death. The spirit rises mightier by defeat. His godlike wings grow wider with each fall. It's a poetic way of saying how you progress in spite of difficulties. Its splendid failures sum to victory. Of course, as I said earlier, all these things applicable. Man can accept his fate, can refuse, for a very well-developed human soul. For human souls, not for ordinary man. O man, the events that meet thee on thy road, though they smite thy body and soul with joy and grief, are not thy fate. Again, this man, as I said, is a different kind of man, not ordinary man, you see. Are not thy fate. They touch thee a while and pass. Grief and joy touch thee and pass. Even death can cut not short thy spirit's walk. Now this is a mighty line. This is a mighty line, you see. Even death can cut not short thy spirit's walk. Thy goal, the road thou choosest, are thy fate. In other words, he is indirectly telling Savitri, Savitri, you better do your work. You have a task to do, you attend to it. This has to happen, it cannot be avoided. Savitri is a human person now at the moment. She has still to do her yoga. She has to undertake the entire arduous process of yogic growth. Unless that is done, she cannot really do that thing. You see, at thy fate, you got to choose that fate and do that thing. On the altar, throwing thy thoughts, thy heart, thy works, thy fate is a long sacrifice to the gods till they have opened to thee thy secret self and made thee one with indwelling God. That is what Savitri has to do basically. Of course, he is addressing here to man, but the context is of course Savitri. Now here, on the art of throwing thy thoughts, thy heart, thy works. It is a sacrifice, it is yajna. It is a Vedic yajna which Narad is describing. Vedic yajna. And what are you putting in the yajna fire? Your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your actions, your activities, everything you are putting in. In other words, jnana, bhakti, karma, thoughts, jnana, heart, bhakti, works, karma. All these things of yogic kind which are described in the Gita. The Gita's yoga consists of these three parts: knowledge, action, devotion. These three. All these things now had to be put in the altar fire of God. Everything has to be put in the altar of God. On the altar, throwing thy thought, thy heart, thy work, the entire Gita's yoga is to be put in the yajna fire. And then thy fate is a long sacrifice to God, then the gods will rise from that. Till they have opened to thee thy secret self and made thee one with the indwelling God. This is what happened in the case of Sri Aurobindo. When he was in Alipur jail, he says, the Gita was put in my hand. The Gita was put in my hand. What he practiced there was the yoga of the Gita at the time, in 1908, about that time. And as a result of that, then what happened? Till they have opened to thee thy secret self, then his self really opened out. The hand of the Gita was there. He had put the Gita in his hand, and then the secret self opened out. Till they have opened to thee thy secret self and made thee one with the indwelling God. That is the realization which he had. That is the realization which he had. So you can see certain kind of autobiographical glimpses also in these descriptions, you see. Of course, this is universal, but we can read a part of his life in that way. The Gita was put in his hand, and he had that experience, that secret self, thy secret self, that is what he had realized there, you see. And everything became to him Vasudeva, 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 you see. God, 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 he will bear. And made thee, and that is the fate. So once that is there, then he goes away from Calcutta to Chandragarh, from Chandragarh to Pondicherry, all that the fate gets arranged. By fate it is arranged, everything. Not only that, in the course of time, then the 29th March 1914 also comes as a part of that fate's working. Everything happens then, automatically. O soul, intruder in nature's ignorance, armed traveller to the unseen supernal heights, thy spirit's fate is a battle and ceaseless march against invisible apparent power, a passage from matter into timeless self. Now he is addressing, first he was addressing to Ashwapati, to the king, to man, basically, indirectly. He is now generalizing by saying soul. Essentially, it is to the aspiring soul of man to whom he is addressing these things. A ready soul of man, a ripened soul of man. O soul, intruder in nature's ignorance. Now, this is a wonderful phrase. He says, after all, what is soul? He is an intruder in nature's ignorance. Now, okay, we'll see that thing. Then, I am traveler to the unseen supernal height. The soul has come down here into ignorance, and now he has become a traveler to supernal heights. Armed because he has to meet the opposition, the battle, the spirits, and therefore because he is armed, he is the traveler, he is meeting, his fate is a battle and ceaseless march against invisible opponent powers. A passage from matter into timeless self. Because the soul has entered into ignorance, it has become a battle in all that thing. Now this line, intruder, would mean unwelcome guest. Basically, you are talking, somebody just comes and enters into a room or whatever it is, he is an intruder. He is not a welcome guest at all. He was not invited for discussion. Now, is really the soul an intruder in ignorance? Ignorance didn't bother. Ignorance was busy with her own work and all that thing. This man, somebody comes and enters into it and disturbs it, you see, intruders. It's not that, basically. In other words, as we have seen earlier, our soul had made a deliberate choice to enter into ignorance. So there is no, he doesn't wait now for an invitation. He doesn't wait for an invitation. He has made a deliberate choice. Soul was up there, we have already seen earlier. He was up there, it was there, very happy, etc., all those things were there. But he saw the shadow of truth below and became curious of it. Now, out of that curiosity, he has come here. He is not introducing. Shadow is not going to invite him. Shadow will not invite him. He is thrusting himself upon it. The shadow is thrusting, the soul is thrusting itself upon the shadow. So you call it intruder, I don't care for that. It's thrusting itself for a purpose, because that is the only way by which this can happen. Why? Then he becomes a traveler and he moves his fate and his march becomes from matter to timeless self, out of ignorance. So, shadow, the truth, the soul is not going to wait for an invitation from the shadow. It has become curious of it and it has thrust itself into ignorance to work out something of that ignorance. And that is what is going to happen here. A passage from matter, it is for that purpose the soul has intruded. It is for that purpose the soul has intruded. And therefore, naturally, adventurers of blind, unforeseen time, a forced advance through a long line of lives, it pushes his spirit through the centuries, because it has entered into that thing as an intruder. He has become an adventurer now. He has entered into ignorance as an intruder, because it became curious. He didn't wait for an invitation from ignorance to enter into it. He saw the shadow of the truth there, got attracted by the shadow and plunged into it. In other words, the soul has really thrust itself into ignorance.